Hi, everybody. This is Francesca from Under the Covers Book Blog. And
This is Laura from What to Read Next.
so Laura and I decided that we were going to come today and talk about the Goodreads Top 100 romance list of the last 3 years because we have some thoughts that we wanted to share with you guys. And also, we want to see what you guys think, if you agree with us or not. You don't have to.
Yep.
So, we're going to give you guys a little bit of time to come and join us. We're just going to talk a little bit in general about what the Goodreads Top 100 list is. So I don't know about you, Laura, but did you know that Goodreads has been doing that for a while? Like there's been one of these lists every year.
I did not realize they have done every year. I know they do listicles about
Mhm.
top best books for the year and best books like your readers wanted to best shelf and everything, but it's still like the top 100 romance and like every 3 years, and I'm like, oh, that's great, except that things have shifted, in the market.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. It was, I think that you can actually see some of those trends with the list that they've put together. And I mean, I guess we have to be honest also about it's Goodreads, same as with the Goodreads Choice Awards. It is kind of a popularity contest,
yeah,
but they do mention at the top of the post that they are picking the books in base of what people added to their shelves, like the ratings and all of that. I did do a little bit of digging in the sense of like books that I know have sold,
yeah,
like hit New York Times bestsellers list, and I know they have a huge following and a huge readership.
yeah,
And yes, the ratings and like the reviews and all of that on Goodreads on the platform are much lower than
yeah,
all of the books that are on this list. So I guess I wonder if that has to do with people also moving away from Goodreads.
yeah.
Like is it a fact of some of the older, let's not older by age, but like more seasoned readers have moved away from the platform, so those reviews are not on there. Like I haven't been on Goodreads, I haven't rated anything on Goodreads for at least 3 years.
Yeah, I haven't rated for just as long. I think the other thing we have to think about is the advertising money.
Mhm.
Who's paying for advertising for us on Goodreads? And
Yeah,
so is that cost? Is that that they're making money from those books? Would it push them to actually show up in these lists because it does give them win-win because it's more
right.
visibility. And so that's the other part that I'm thinking that may not be so upfront, but at the end of the day, Goodreads is owned by Amazon, and they're looking for a way to make as much money doing the bare minimum product that they prepare.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. So yeah, I mean, I would love to know for you guys that are tuning in and watching, or if you're watching the replay, let us know if you're still writing your reviews or ratings on Goodreads, or if you've moved away from the platform. Maybe you're just like tracking on offline. Like a lot of my tracking is offline, but I am using also Storygraph. So I kind of keep that as my base. I moved to Storygraph fully last year, and the year before I wasn't even tracking anywhere. So I don't know, but what about you? How are you tracking?
I am not tracking. I'm only tracking Airtable, but I'm not tracking publicly. I made a decision. Any feedback, any reviews are going to go on Substack, and mostly the DNFs and the things that I try are going to be paid subscriber because of the way I had relationship with publishers and authors and specific things. I wanted to keep that like private in some ways. So I stopped tracking, star rating or specific places of like this is what works. Because reading is subjective and what I hate may be what you like. And so I try to be more conscious about like I'm here to promote different books and recommend books and curate those based on the different mood reading. And so my actual tracking of star rating happens privately. And then the other part is I track other measures that are important to me, like
Hmm.
what Kindle Unlimited books I use, which
Yeah.
libraries do I use. So I track the data points that are interesting for me to help me make a better decision moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, the same for me. I do have my Notion tracker, which does, I also do like to track that because, for example, if I'm not reading enough Kindle Unlimited, is it worth it to keep the
Yeah,
subscription? Or if I have some other kind of service that I pay for, whether it's like audiobook service or when you're paying for like non-resident cards from a library,
yeah,
are you reading enough books from that service to justify the cost? So I think a lot of that you're not able to track with these kind of platforms. So it makes sense that maybe some readers have moved away because you don't want to do double the work, you know? So, yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you think that the numbers are accurate for like the whole community, or are we really just looking at a very small segment of the community, which is actually how I'm looking at this top 100. I see it as the book talk top 100. I feel like that's like just browsing through it. That's what you're seeing is what are the books that really hit it off the park on Book Talk in the last 3 years. That's what you're seeing there.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that a little bit later when we're talking about trends and stuff. Let's talk on a positive note. What are some books that you saw on the list? Like, give me a couple of books that you saw on the list, and actually, let me share with you guys the list so that you can see what we're talking about here. If it goes, it's going. Okay. All right. So the list is here. So let's share with people a little bit what that looks like. It's the usual suspects, right?
Thanks. Yeah.
So, briefly, these are the books that you're going to find on the top 100. So, stop me when you see something that's like, that's the one. That's mine.
We're still going. I like Nora on those are still, but it's a little more women's fiction than rom com.
Yes. Yes.
It's a Fade to Black, Closed Door, beautiful, very older. I think it's a more like I'm surprised it is because it's a more older generation. It's not as spicy or as a younger kind of like snappy.
It has 167,000 ratings. So that means people are reading it. So, it's, which goes back to what I was saying. Like, those ratings on the books on this list are super high. So there's a lot of people that are reading these books that are using Goodreads. So maybe it's a user base, kind of like.
I remember reading Praise when it just came out before the big wave that happened.
Mhm,
And it was interesting to see that wave of like Sarah Kate coming from like the unobscure, it's a book that was told among friends at the time.
mhm.
Like I think you should read Praise. I think you should read Praise. And then the explosion of Sarah Kate, because she was for a while, she was at every single signing. She was everywhere. And I'm like, this is amazing. But it was like interesting to see that, like seeing that exposure for the Boston. That's a 3 year old book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully next year it won't be there.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a few Sarah Kates.
Yes,
I
because they're
have to
all like
say.
it. Just I think the same goes for Elsie Silver. It just basically
Mhm.
like you
Yeah.
have one
The
book,
whole series.
you just the whole series comes in.
Yeah.
I yeah, there's the usual suspects of it.
Yes, it is all the usual suspects. And like you said, I actually find it a little bit unfair to put multiple books from the same series at the very least. You can
Yeah,
probably put the same author, but if
yeah,
it's all in the same series, I feel like it's taking up space where, because obviously, if a series is super, super popular, the next book will still be popular. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So I would open that up a little bit. But here's another Sarah Kate. And
There's
here's another Annabelle Monaghan. So,
I read that one. I actually enjoyed that one a lot.
yeah.
It's a little more rom com. The Julie Whelan, probably because she was narrating it, that's probably why I made it to. It's Julie Whelan is well known for her narration, and this is a book that she wrote about narration. So it's very meta, and I assume that's
Yeah.
probably why it was like so popular in some ways. It's a good book. It's more women's fiction again,
I
not as
was going to say that also is more women's fiction.
not a strong romance, but another Sarah Kate. I do appreciate Lauren Asher to be in the
Mhm,
list.
mhm.
I really like her new series, but she also came in the scene in the 2020. She rode the book talk wave
Right,
as
right.
stable. But I appreciate Lauren, even though she writes lengthy books,
Mhm.
she's only giving us 2 books a year, so she's not feeding us like constantly.
Yeah, yeah.
So we don't see that many books because she's only giving us like a couple books a year, and I appreciate that. Sometimes
Yes, I am all for authors that like control how much they put out because we can't keep up. Like, I want to read other things. I don't want to just read you.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, I actually read the Give Me More by Sarah Kate,
I
and
really
I
like
did
too.
enjoy it.
Um, Lost and Lasso was good. Then we have the coincidence of wildflowers is not a romance. It's a duet. It has trigger warnings galore. It's just hard. I do like Michaela's other books from her.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
But this one's the one that got her, noticed. And
Yeah.
then we have this one that I told you when we first looked at it. I cannot see the one with the Charlie, the one with the house. That's
Yes, Keeper
like,
of Enchanted Rooms, which
yes,
is actually a historical fiction.
yes. So
Have
she,
no idea how this is here. I don't know what happened.
I don't know who
I've
shared.
never seen this book either, so it's like I don't know how it could have been so popular that it
Yeah,
snuck in here, but you know,
and I think
um,
that the Tia Williams, I would say I would not go for this one. I would go for 7 Days in June. That was a much
right,
better hit.
right.
And that was romance. That was actually angsty and fun and like it's just like a joy to read
Hmm, hmm.
about romance. And so I wouldn't consider this one it. I would consider 7 Days in June super
Right,
hit.
right. Yeah, and we were recently just talking about The Love of My Afterlife by Christy Greenwood, which again, it's kind of like the lone paranormal romance in my opinion, because there are other paranormal things on here, but are more fantasy romance.
Yeah,
Uh, and this one was more like women's fictiony,
yeah.
and also not that good. So I don't know why it's here, but
Thought it was magical realism. It's just like,
yeah.
like it just imagines that you're just in the afterlife. But like, it's not paranormal when we think about paranormal of like, um, werewolf, vampires, otherworldly. It's just
Yeah.
like you're just coexisting and then you come back from death and come back to a new life. Yes,
Mhm.
it's paranormal, but it's so light.
Yes, it's so light you can barely feel it.
You can barely think about it. It's paranormal.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So for me, I actually have to say I'm happy to see that Carrie Lake is on the list.
Yeah,
And I definitely can say that that is because of the success that she had with Book Talk,
yeah,
because her books were everywhere on Book Talk, which listen, I'm very happy about. So this Anathema, I have not read this one, but it was her new release for this year.
yeah,
But there was Nocticadia, which was, I think, was 2023.
yeah,
Yeah, 2023 that it came out. I read it actually this year,
yeah,
and I really, really enjoyed it. It still has my one to read rating because, again, I haven't used Goodreads for a couple of years. So it was still on my to be read. So, yeah, I actually do enjoy seeing her on the list, and I do recommend Nocticadia. And as far as other things, like for example, the Dixon Rule, and there was also the Graham Effect by Al Kennedy. I'm surprised to see them here. I read both of them, but I'm kind of surprised to see them here because I don't think they're her strongest books either.
yeah,
So, and I also did not see them as talked about,
yeah. I,
online and in book circles and
yeah,
whatever. And let's see what else really stands out to me. Like, this is a lot of my do not read list, actually. Um,
yeah,
a lot of the like the tropes and the authors and the things are usually the things I don't gravitate towards. And I don't know about you, but for me, when something is like really, really popular, whether it's an author or like a type of book, I tend to completely disconnect and not want to read it. Like I dig my heels in and I'm like, I'm not reading that. Only because it's like super, super popular.
yeah,
So yeah, so Phantasma is another one that I would highly recommend. So I'm happy to see that there.
yeah,
It is a paranormal romance, so that is an actual paranormal romance,
yes.
which I think is really like I said, like one of the very few. And I did like Lights Out by Navessa Allen. I
I
did
still have
enjoy
the
that
audio
book.
actually. It's my list to add the audio for it.
Yeah, the audio is so good. The audio is good. He did do a really good job with it.
We got Megan Quinn, we got Megan Brandy, we got Elsie
Mhm,
Silver, we got
mhm.
ones who are like, who have been around. Let's see what's been
Rachel Gillick, I feel like, is not really fantasy romance. It's
yeah,
more fantasy with some romantic elements in
yeah,
it. So that does not need to be there. But yeah. Usual suspects here. You do have another Lauren Asher.
yep. We got Anna Huang.
We
Let's
have Anna Huang. And I don't know if these are in any kind of order, but I was actually surprised if they are, which I kind
I
of
think
think
they
they
are.
are.
I think so.
Lucy Score Things We Never Got Over, like on the number 4 spot. I was kind of surprised about that.
It's the
What about you?
most sold book in Kindle Unlimited. Like it's actually has sold so many units that it's like I remember because there was a Lucy Score came in for a like a Kindle when they release a new Kindles they
Mhm.
invited a bunch of influencers to Amazon to talk about the Kindles and they had her there and it was just like the things when I read over it was the most popular, most sold book, most units been sold.
Wow.
It's not like it's 500 pages long, so it's making her very
Yeah.
very wealthy. Well,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I actually enjoy Lucy's Score. So I have not read that one, but I do enjoy her writing and her books. So I am happy to see that.
I feel like this makes sense because book lovers is IGNF. Book lovers is the one new Emily Henry IGNF.
Mhm.
But these four are probably the
I
ones that
guess
have
sellers.
most of units. They're probably
Mhm.
much moving forward. Every summer after was another one that sold a lot of units. We got Sarah
Yeah.
J. Maas. We got Carissa Broadbent, who is actually I do appreciate Carissa's
Mhm.
writing. So
Mhm.
and then we got the Abby Jimenez and more
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I actually, I mean, I don't know how many books Ali Hazelwood has put out in the last 3 years, like looking at dates, but I think there was only two on this list. This one
Yeah,
and
there's more. She did Chuck and Maid. She got the deep end. She got Bride, and then she has Not in Love. Because
okay,
I binged on them while the hurricane happened. That's what I ended
yeah,
up doing was Ali Hazelwood. So they were like I caught up with all of them. I haven't read Love Theoretically because I feel like that's too STEM. She
mhm,
starts to deviate outside of the STEMist, books. And
yeah,
I'm kind of glad because they're much better than reading the same thing over and over. Um,
yeah. So yeah, so that one is interesting. I'm actually one of the few people that probably doesn't read Ali Hazelwood as much. I read her first book, I liked it, but it was just okay, and I don't like to keep reading things where it's like, well, it was okay.
I
So,
like,
and then I read one last year that she did for Spotify. It was on
yeah,
audio only. I can't remember what it's called. Something about play.
yeah. I would suggest reading the deep end, and the cute a caveat with that, it's college age, so they act like they're college age. Their full frontal lobe is not fully formed, so they act like that. So it's
You are
really
you
fun.
are completely turning me off from reading it.
It is a really good one. It's angsty,
Yeah.
it's just fun, it's in depth. It talks about like actual mental health of the diver who has the itis, and so
Mhm.
it's like trying the Ipsy. I think it was she has something that doesn't cannot dive anymore.
Right.
And it's
Right.
actually overcoming that process. It is not BDSM. It is not forbidden. None of the way it was marketed is wrong. It is actually like a fun, fun romp at the same time with someone who actually has to overcome, like an elite athlete
Yeah.
overcoming some like major blockage.
So for sure, Deep End probably be the book that is going to come up next year when they do this list again, and like they do the
No,
past
because
years, it will come up.
they're getting complaints about it for too much sex. They're getting complaints about it. For, they're
Well, for sure,
complaining
they're going to get complaints from marketing because if you're
their
marketing something
reviews are
BDSM,
like they're not fully like I don't get how they're connected because they're friends with benefit and there's too much sex and I was like but they're in college like what do you expect them to do like they're not gonna get married like it's like
crazy.
think about YA you're not expecting these people to get married
Yeah,
like at 18
yeah. No, I would be concerned.
yeah so
Let them have their fun. It's okay. So,
yeah
if you guys are watching, drop in the comments what book from this list do you love the most? Or if you're watching the replay, let us know. So, which one do you really, really agree with?
yeah
And now we're going to go into our negatives. I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about the things that we don't know why they're there, but what are the ones that you absolutely would switch out from here?
I
So,
think Sergeant Mass, this year's Sergeant Mass is not supposed to be there. Like, it's
yeah,
not romantasy.
right.
It's fantasy with romantic elements, but it's just not
Yeah.
romantasy. And Fourth Wing, I guess, but I think you need to take away the romantasy and have it as separate or fantasy and have it separate than just calling it the romance. I
Yeah,
feel
and I
like,
think that's also because of the book talk effect, right? So book talk is heavily romantasy popular, so
yeah,
it's going to dominate a lot of this section. But you were saying that book lovers you DNF.
I did.
So I guess you would switch that
I would
out.
switch that out. The Abby Jimenez, I would switch those out. I like your
All three.
choice. I cannot tell us about the other ones.
Okay.
Um, and I need some historicals because
Yes.
we
Yes.
have other genres than just these two genres they presented.
Yes, I feel like what they're really missing here, and there are books that are really good and really popular, also really big authors, historical romance. There's like nothing here. There's also no like true paranormal romance. Like, I don't see an Alini Singh in here. I don't see a J.R. Ward. And I mean, I haven't really enjoyed J.R. Ward's books in the past couple of years, but they're still selling, they're still popular, people are still buying it. So I don't see that stuff here. So I feel like there should be some guardrails and some guidelines. But I was looking back again on like how many ratings these books have, and all of these books on here have like 60,000, 130,000. Like, they have a lot of ratings. So I mean, obviously the readers are there on Goodreads, and I think it's just because we're not doing our job, I guess, filling in the data to Goodreads. So it's a little skewed.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the book talk girls are actually going to Goodreads and rating.
Sure, sure. Let's just be good with friends. And Goodreads isn't, I don't know if it still limits to 5,000 friends. So you really need to update this whole idea of 5,000 friends because I want to be nosy and I want to be your friend and know what you're into. That's what I use Goodreads. I go for like the social feed to figure out what
Mhm.
people are reading, and
Yeah.
then I go to my friends feed. And they took away my app. They took away the option for you to see how they're doing in the challenge and what
Mhm.
books they have read in the challenge. They took away
Oh,
that
wow.
aspect of it, which I was like, that's my favorite aspect of it. One is compare and despair, so then I could see like, oh shitty, I'm not reading enough. And the other one is like, oh, these are what my friends are reading, so I can actually talk about them or
Yeah.
actually like pull them in and bump it up in the TBR.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. I think that would be helpful, but yeah, I don't think that they're as social anymore. I remember when I used to be on Goodreads all the time and it was really social. And actually that's one aspect of Storygraph that I am not 100% sold on, is the fact that there's very little social interaction. Yes, there is a feed, but it's very isolated. Like, you have to literally go into that section, as opposed to just when you log in, your feed is there. When you
yeah,
log into Storygraph, it's like, here's your books that you're reading, and here's some books that you might enjoy, but that social feed is not there. And I feel like having to go and look for that social feed, it's like a little bit of friction. Like, I never go on there to see what
that's
people have read.
that's the reason why I'm not Storygraph because I was like, I need the social aspect of it.
Yeah,
That's fine. I can track my data, the way
yeah,
I'm really good with data. I can do pivot tables, I can do graphs, I can do specific things. I know the data point. I don't need someone else to create those Tableau dashes for me. I just need to actually talk and see what people are reading because I'm nosy. And also, that's how I get recommendations.
yeah,
That's how
for
I
sure.
figure out, like, oh, this could be a bump it up because I see most of my friends reading this. Maybe I
Yeah,
should bump it up. Or maybe this is something I did not know this came out, or I did not know this existed. This is a hidden gem with backlist title,
yeah.
and that's where that's the whole point of like what I look for my reading community because I established what to read next because I found a problem myself. I was always a reader, but I never had enough recommendations. So I was
Mhm.
always binging the same, like find an author, binge the backlist, and then just go to Barnes and Nobles and get some ideas. And I was
Right.
like, I didn't have a community aspect to it. And that's once I found there was such thing as a community, I was like, oh, I don't want to be part of it, and then create a community and create a place for recommendations. No judgment. We do not yuck on other people's yum. Just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that you may like it. So
Yeah,
we provide recommendations based on the different needs, different moods, different ideas, and different books to read.
yeah. I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Oh, sorry, my internet is going, so hopefully it's. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed that aspect of Goodreads when I was on it. And this was way, way back.
Yeah.
Probably because I feel like also a lot of the people that I was friends with also have left Goodreads.
Yeah.
So I don't really actively
Oh,
go
you don't
out
have
and
your
look
book
for new
trend.
people to follow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just closed the whole
I
chapter.
don't want to add new friends. I just want to like, like people, my book friends. I just want to know what they're reading.
Yeah.
I just want to read
Yeah,
them.
it helps. Like, it's really helpful to see what people are reading and get new recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as for me, Ones that I would probably remove from here, like I said, the Rachel Gillig. I don't think this is a romance at all, even a romantasy. So even if we go by that, it's not. It's a fantasy book with romance elements. So I would definitely switch those out. And like you said, the Annabelle Monaghan, those are women's fiction. So I would take that. Catherine Center, I always see her also as women's
It's
fiction with
not
like,
as this was a rom
romance.
com. I did read this. This is a rom com. It's
Okay.
not. It's there's romance here. It's close
Okay.
to horror, but it's a rom com.
Yeah. Okay. So at least there's that. The spell shop, I don't think is as romance either. Like I know they market it a lot as a romantasy, but I don't think so. What else? I would definitely take out this thing
Yeah,
because it's a historical figure. Like I don't even know how that's there.
yeah,
I feel like this book probably must have paid some money to
yeah.
be there because that makes absolutely no sense. I haven't even seen
I
it
know the stuff. So it might be paid feature. They're
anywhere.
like, well, we're gonna bring you the last one. Well, we could just some of up like little down there.
Yeah. So, okay. So now if you had to make some comments or add some books for things that you don't see on this list, what would you actually say?
So historical has to be added, historical rom-coms, even the mystery rom-coms that are
Mhm.
coming up, that's an up and coming,
Yeah.
where it mixes true crime or like stuff. I didn't see romantic suspense actually.
Yeah,
But
no.
it's the same. So obviously that area where we're think about the audience that we're looking. Women listen to true crime.
Mhm.
I also like smutty romance. And
Yeah.
so mixing them together is like the perfect baby. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
And
so
actually if you think about that specific niche, you cannot tell me that there's no Nora Roberts on this list in the past 3 years. Like she writes amazing as JD Robb for romantic thrillers, and then she has her regular romantic suspense, and she's been releasing books. So
So think about those, like that area, that
yeah,
genre that needs to be addressed. Like there's plenty of it. There's plenty of Kindle Limited. There's plenty of like books, and they're emerging new trends with that
yeah,
space.
yeah.
So Ali Carter is bringing back the spies and stuff.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
we have Catherine Powell doing similar to Nora Roberts, these
Yeah,
romantic small town romantic suspense novels. We have J.D. Robb and that series that's been ongoing for 30 something years.
yeah.
you know,
We did have a Daphne Perry, which is a little bit of that, like
no, that's not a romantic suspense. That's actually I read that book. That's not romantic
it's
suspense.
not
No,
romanticism.
that's just a rom.
So
That's a romance. Yeah, no, there's no mystery in that one. So no,
so yeah, they're really missing that. They're missing also paranormal,
yeah,
I think. And in general, something else I noticed, and I did see that also in the comments, there's only like a couple of books by Black authors. There's
yeah,
no diversity.
yeah,
There's one queer romance, and I
yeah,
know that there's a lot of really popular titles that have come out in the last 3 years. So it's kind of surprising not to see those.
yeah. They're only showing the diverse authors that are selling millions of units.
Yeah,
Anna Huang, Lauren Asher, Kennedy Ryan.
yeah,
Okay, but there are other other
yeah,
authors that are doing that could be like selling units and
yeah,
still like up and coming and stuff like that.
yeah. I completely agree.
Where it's like whenever there's like a diverse listicle and you're like they send the same. I'm like you're sending the same three authors. Like look for something else.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
and there are those authors where like maybe there's like a runaway hit where one book really really sold well. So
yeah.
I would love to see more of that in lists like this. I think that
There's
that
no
probably
Colleen
comes.
Hoover.
Yeah,
Actually, there's no Colleen Hoover in this list. So
I
thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. We're on a good place there.
we have passed the
Yeah,
era.
Colleen. Thank you.
Now we just have to do the same with Sarah J. Maas. So and
Yes,
you know what? There's only two. So did she only
yes.
release two books? I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
she only released it. She only released one book. Like she released the book every other year or something.
Okay, so then there was only two to add to the list.
Yes.
We are still not over that.
We're still not over. It's just we're supposed to get a new Avatar book next, and then she's
Okay.
so the year that she sent us, she released a couple of books a year. Those years are over.
Yeah.
She's no longer doing, you know,
So funny.
releasing a bunch of books.
Yeah. So, other than that, let's add a couple of books that you think could have made the list, that should have made the list. What are some of your recommendations?
I think, like, honestly, I would just look at romantic suspense, like,
Mhm.
and top of my head, I cannot name those books. But looking at that genre, looking at the genre where there's like serial killers or thieves on the run, looking
Mhm.
at that specific genre from small town to the securities to the ones who are on the force, like there's up and coming authors like Victor Wilder that's doing some really good stuff that I would like to see more.
Mhm.
And then the mystery rom-coms they're coming in.
Yeah.
So if we're looking for the rom-com, those traditional published books, I think Molly Harper has one.
Mhm.
There's quite a few that are coming out, and I think those are might be like adding in that genre
Yeah.
to those days.
Yeah, and I think, like, to wrap up a little bit of what my thoughts were on this, I think it depends also on the fact that there's a lot of romance readers that are not using Goodreads anymore, and just the list skews a certain way
Yeah,
because of that, and also because of publisher input, or like just marketing in general, because it is an Amazon company, so it's going to push the things that are selling also on Amazon
yeah,
as much. So I don't know. I feel like there's a push between the book talk and Amazon sales, and that's why we're getting this
yeah,
list.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I definitely would love to see a little bit more thought on at least not including everything from a series, so that it gives the space to add other things.
yes.
Yeah,
Just
I,
one author, one book per author. The most
yeah,
popular book in the author, and then you just know you can go binge the backlist from that.
yeah. Yeah, because it gives opportunity to other people. Otherwise, it always turns into, here's like the 20 authors that are popular right now,
Yeah,
and just regurgitate the same thing. Which,
yeah.
like, whenever I see that, that's actually an indication for me. And I know I'm weird, but that's my indication to, like,
Not read it.
not read that. Like,
I
that author goes on my do not read
I
list for
read
some
them
reason.
and then I'm like, I'm disappointed. I'm like, oh, this was not good. Or sometimes I'm like, oh, this part was good, you know?
Yeah,
I want to make it better. I've been trying to make it better out there. I'm looking for hidden gems that people are up and coming or they
yeah,
use, or like gems that I find like scrolling through Amazon or Libby and trying them out and
yeah.
see because I you get so skewed with overhyped books and there's like something to be said about like, hey, look for other books that are similar to that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely tend to skew more that way because I don't know. I feel like, one, everybody's already talking about those.
yeah,
So, like, they're going to be popular and they're going to sell anyway. So, why are we always reading the same
yeah,
things? And a lot of times I actually enjoy the newer or hidden gems more
yeah,
than those other authors. So, we got to give them a chance. So,
yeah.
yeah, that's my takeaway from this whole thing. It's like, please read other things. Please read other things than the same authors.
Yes.
Yeah. So I hope that you guys leave your comments with what you actually thought of the Goodreads top 100. Let us know if you agree with us or if you disagree. We're not going to judge a little bit.
We don't yuck your yum. We're not
Yes.
yucking other people's yum, so we're good. So
Yeah.
we're good. So
Yes. I think that's the most important, right? Also, actually, there was a lot of dark romance on
yeah.
this list.
But it's book talk. Book talk
Yeah.
loves romance. Book talk
Yeah.
is like everything. Like give me the most taboo shit and
Yeah.
I'm here for it. And I was like, and things are like, okay, I'm not yucking, but okay.
Yeah,
It's
it's
reasonable.
dark. It was dark, or the really fluffy contemporary rom-coms, or romancy. Like, that's it. That's all you got.
Yes. But there was no mafia.
No
Absolutely.
mafia.
And I
No.
love, and you know, I love you some mafia.
Yeah.
So,
If you guys want mafia recommendations, go on
I
Laura.
love
There's a mafia niche list for everything.
there's some mafia niche. I'm working on more. So we got super baby, we got forced marriage, we got arranged marriage, we got age gap, we got enemies to lovers. I have a couple hidden gems like a mafia rom com. Like there's a little bit of everything for you.
There's a mafia ballerina.
Matthew Ballerinas is coming. I actually have some
Mhm.
on the vlog, but I'm gonna do a bigger list for you. So
I love it. I love it. So, see, these are the things that should be on the list.
yeah,
And the funny thing is that I know that some of these authors are selling a lot. So, like, what is happening?
yeah.
All right.
So
Yeah. So, anyway, guys, thank you for joining us today. Leave us your comments about your thoughts on the Goodreads Top 100. Have you read any of them? What are your favorites? Because, yes, there were some great books that made the list, but what are your misses? Which ones you would replace? And be sure to follow both of us. Laura is here on YouTube and she's also on Substack and her podcast. So make sure you find all the things in her blog and also follow Under the Covers here on YouTube, Substack, the blog, and all the things. And catch us next week live on Thursday. We're going back for Novel Hour. We're going to talk about Valentine's Day and friendship recommendations. So it's going to be
yes,
a fun episode.
it's gonna be a fun one. I'm gonna talk about toxic friends, which is I'm very excited.
I love it.
So like sometimes you need like those frenemies, and I do have frenemies, and Victor and Francesca knows what my frenemies are.
I haven't decided what I'm going to focus on, but I don't want to do like just regular friendships. I may do like romances. I don't know.
Yes, that would be fun. Like let's just share the friendship.
Yeah.
So,
Let's share all the friendships. So if you guys have recommendations, come to the live and share them with us as well.
yeah, awesome.
All right. We'll see you guys. Bye.